I have Gordon T with me. Now, you may or may not know of him, but Gordon, what would be the people who meet you or hear of you? What is the first thing they probably would probably associate you with?
Well, depends what context they meet me in, I guess. But from the world of Christian radio, I'm one of the presenters on Hope FM, and I do a show called The Artist Interview, which started off as a show down here on the South Coast, based in Bournemouth, and actually has grown in amazing ways and totally unexpectedly to now be on 3 different continents. So it depends, but often in the music world, people will know about me from my work in Christian radio.
Excellent. So you're a presenter on Hope FM. What's the story behind Hope FM? I mean, I know a little bit of it, but I didn't want to look too far because I thought, well, you can say better than I can.
Well, I haven't been here since the start, but it's over 10 years old. It came about with some people saying it'd be a great idea to have a community station down in Bournemouth, and they started doing it on a limited license, only broadcasting for a certain number of hours at certain times of year. But it started to get momentum, and there were numbers of people saying, actually, this is a really great thing to have a station that will bless our community and beyond. And it's got a Christian ethos, but wants to also make sure that it's engaged with more widely. And as that grew, it then got a full-time license and has gone from strength to strength. So Ofcom increased our power. So we go out way beyond the Bournemouth, Poole, Christchurch area, and it's a joy to be part of it. So lots of people from lots of different churches working together, but producing programs that hopefully anybody can listen to.
Superb. So you're saying Christian ethos. I mean, it's called Hope FM. So I'm assuming that hope is kind of your mission statement. Is it?
Well, that's a great question. I didn't come up with the name. It's been called that since the early days. I absolutely would be true though that we hope that people listening to the station will come away uplifted with a bit of joy in their life, and also, no matter what situations they might be going through, also know that God cares and loves them and has plans for us.
Fab. Well, we'll come back to Hope FM in a little while. The artist interview, I want to come back to as well, because we're going to use those on our show. But just more about you. What was your journey into radio, and where does faith fit into all of that for you?
It's such a good question. The answer is, it was entirely an accident. I've got to be totally well. I say it was an accident. I've got a feeling that God was involved in it. So going way back to I don't know if it's 5 years, maybe 6 years. Something like that. My son had to do some work experience, and I was looking at the list of him. He loves music, so he's a musician. And I was looking at all the things. There were so many various jobs he could go and do, but they really were not going to be enjoyable for him. He didn't want to work in shops. He didn't want to do any of the things in banking or anything like that. He just wanted to do music. And the only thing really that I saw was, is this radio station, Hope FM? Why don't you look at that? And he said, yeah, that would be good. So we applied for him to do it, and they said, yep, great, no problem at all. Come along. And then they said, why don't I come along and see what it's about as well? But I was going to something called the Christian Resources Exhibition. And they said, well, why don't you come and do an interview? Because my company was down exhibiting. They'd come and do an interview. And I was just about to go for that interview with them. And I was talking to a vicar on my stand. And he said to me, you've got an amazing voice for radio. And I said, it's funny you should say that. I'm just about to go and do a radio interview right now. So I went and did the radio interview. And then they said, yeah, come along to the station when you've got some time afterwards. It'd be good just to show you what we're doing. So I went along, and they showed me all different things. Well, this is very interesting. It's really quite a good ministry. And they said, would I be interested in getting involved? And I thought, yeah, it's quite interesting. And what I missed out actually was just a couple of weeks before, I was chatting with my wife, and she said, if you didn't do all the things you do, what thing would you really have enjoyed doing? And I said, I think I could have enjoyed being a radio presenter. So here I was at the station a few weeks later, and they said, would I be interested in being trained to be a presenter? And I thought, well, there's no harm in just seeing what happens. So I did the training with them, and then I thought that I'd get offered a graveyard shift, but an opening just happened at the right time, and they said, would I like to do a drive show? I was totally surprised, very honoured, and so I've been doing a drive show now for a number of years, and then out of the drive show came the artist interview as well. So it wasn't something I ever really planned in getting involved in. It's just something that opened up, and it's been a real joy and quite an exciting journey to move in. But it's not really my main job. It's something that I say I have to do it on the side. So it's evenings and weekends more than it is during the daytime. It's fair to say.
I love that kind of. It was not necessarily your plan, but there was a plan that God had. I love that.
And if it fits my gift set, I think I like talking and I love listening to people. So so two of those work well with radio.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. I love meeting people and getting them to share their story. I love listening to people's stories. So a radio for me is perfect.
Perfect fit. Yeah, absolutely.
My wife for years said, "Oh, you should be a radio presenter," and I don't remember these conversations. And when I got on my first opportunities, like I told you, you'd be really good at this, and then people were really complimentary about it. And but she said for years, apparently, I don't remember her saying this.
Wow. Well, there you go. See, but it was putting little seeds in there, birthing the idea. So, and the fact that you're now in it is wonderful, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I never thought we'd run our own radio station, but hey, it's great fun. So what was your faith growing up then? I mean, what was your background?
So, well, I was actually taken to church from probably pretty much as soon as I was born. And we went to very high Anglican churches or Anglo-Catholic churches. So with the incense and smells and bells, I'll be honest, it was not a very exciting place to be as a kid. Both my sisters decided about the age of 11, they never wanted to go to church again. They felt it was a place of hypocrisy. They felt it was boring, irrelevant, untrue. And I got to about the age of 11 and probably would have done a similar thing, I think. But I'd just gone up to secondary school and there was a girl that I had a crush on. So God can use anything. There was a girl I had a crush on. She was part of the Christian Union and they were going on this event. So I thought, I'll go on that event just so I can sit next to her on the coach. And I went on the event. She didn't go. By accident, I went up to an evangelistic event at a great big football stadium in London. It was Louis Palau. For the first time in my life, even though I've been to church for all those years, for the first time in my life, someone explained to me what the gospel message is, what Jesus is calling us to and what he offers us. And I went, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Why has no one told me before? I'd like to be a Christian. So when I was 11, that's actually when I became a Christian, even though I've been going to church all my life. It was the moment that I responded and went, this is true. I want to follow Jesus. So that was probably a key moment for me. And then I've done various things. I've been in church leadership. I really follow wherever God's taking me would be my heart. So, but it's definitely a journey and one where I think you can always find out more about God. You can always go further in his love. And it's a joy being with him. It's not always easy, but God is always good.
Amen to that. So the artist interview, which is the bit how I connected with you, you offered that to us, and we're going to be using that. Excuse me, we're going to be using that on a Friday. I've got my date in front of me because I always forget. So we got a new show starting, the Late Lunch. So this time next week should be your artist interview on Fridays between 1 and 2. So my presenter tells me, Stephen. So how did that come about? I mean, your first interview with an artist, what was the journey into that, and when did you think, I could do this a bit more?
I think early on when I was doing the drive show, I was just thinking it's nice playing all the music, and there used to be a thing they did before me. The person who did the show before me did a thing where they did an artist focus, and they found out lots of information about artists, and they literally spoke it through on air, and that was informative, but it doesn't give you the real feel for the story. And so I just thought, it'd be nicer if I just invited some people to come on the show and tell me their story and their journey and introduce their own tracks. And that started off with me doing a few artists from the UK, and it was lovely. And then I invited some artists who were in the States, and that was great. And the interviews got a bit longer and the format evolved a little bit. And before too long, we were getting people who were the big hitter, Grammy Award winning people wanting to be on the show. Sometimes people approach me and say, "Oh, could I come on the show?" And the answer is, well, let me have a look. Oh, yes, it's you. Of course you can. So it's a real joy to be bringing to the UK people who otherwise perhaps wouldn't feature on UK stations so much, and just spending a bit of time exploring their faith journey, what God's done in their lives and things like that is it's a lot of fun. So it's been something that evolved and not something I would have predicted either. And then with regards to the fact that it's on other stations as well, we had people start approaching us saying, "Can we use your show?" And we just were like, "Oh, that seems sensible." So we were letting them use it, but it was all branded up Hope FM at that point, which was fine. But then at one point, I had a dream, and in the dream, it was that we should just strip out all of the Hope FM branding from it and make it white label, and then offer it to stations. But even now, we've had stations approach us, so it's national in Norway. I didn't know that the Norwegians spoke that much English, but and it goes out on a station in Berlin as well. So there's all sorts of places where the stories of these amazingly gifted, talented artists are making an impact. So I feel the show's just a story. The show's just a vehicle for the people's stories and the goodness of God to be shared.
And we are really looking forward to getting them on our new show, which is really exciting. Let's just go back to Hope FM. Let's deal with the elephant in the room. You're a radio station and we're a radio station, and yet we're quite happily talking to each other. Do you want to explain why that might be okay?
I think the simple answer is we're not competitors. We're people serving in the same space. That would be my heart very much in it, that, you know, we've all got different things that we can share and we can bring to the table. And so I'm on your station right now because I think your station's doing some great stuff, and it's good that we can help support it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was chatting with someone the other day. So I'm going to interview Gordon T from Hope FM. People don't do that. I said, yeah, but either we are on this earth to try and do the best we can for God, or we're on this earth trying to do the best for ourselves. And you can't really do both. And you're a Christian station. You're doing some great stuff, Christian ethos, and we're doing similar things. And yeah, why not talk? Let's share. We're not in competition, are we? Because we're not trying to win stuff. We're trying to say to people, you know what? God's got a better plan for your life. And this is our way of explaining that through our own medium of radio.
Yeah, very much so. And I think probably you'd agree with the sentiment that it's building God's kingdom rather than our own kingdoms. So
absolutely.
That's part of our heart. So, and the station's been very supportive in white labeling and saying, yep, if people want to use it, they freely can. So, which has been great.
So what do you do? So you've got a job, you've got Hope FM for the drive. What else do you get involved with when you're not doing radio?
So I'm involved in a couple of tech ministries. So one of the big ones that some people have heard of will be the UK Church Directory, which is Find a Church, which is a massive vehicle helping people to find churches. As simple as that. It's a church growth ministry. And last year, the site had over 3 million listing views. So that's findachurch.co.uk. If your church isn't listed on there, I'd be very surprised because it lists over 45,000 churches. But if it's not on there, then you can add your own church on there. Also, you can update your own church's information to make sure it's all accurate. So the heart behind that is really new people, particularly seekers, being able to engage with great churches that will welcome people well.
Fab. Do you want to give us the website for Hope FM so people can find out? Because I'm guessing, because I haven't looked this far, you are FM, so that means you're more focused locally, but you're also going to be clearly going beyond that as well.
Yeah, so the FM part of our ministry would be around the Dorset area, so into little bits of Hampshire. But the website is hopefm.com. So nice and easy to find, hopefm.com. And of course, you can listen online. So in the studio, they can see where they've got little dots on a map which show where all different listeners are in from. And there's quite a lot of listeners in Africa, few in the States and all the rest of it. So it's got an international feel to the online side of things, but very much the FM is more localized.
Cool. Thank you so much, Gordon, for your time. I'm really, I love meeting people and talking to people, finding out their stories. So it's great to find a little bit of yours and some of the history behind the stories behind the artist interview. So we're looking forward to airing those, and hopefully that will bring some encouragement and hope to other people, which has got to be a good feeling for you, isn't it?
It's got to be a good thing. So we hope the work we do can bless many people. That's definitely the heart in it. So, but one thing we haven't done, and is I haven't found out anything about your favourite music, which clearly is a passion of mine. So yeah. I would love to know who are your favourite Christian bands and who are your favourite non-Christian bands?
Favourite non-Christian band is an easy one. It's a band called Magnum, which many people will not have heard of. They're from the Midlands. I think they got a bit bigger in the US. They were never quite big enough over here, I don't think. But I'd never, ever heard them on radio at all. I've been to a couple of their concerts. So when we set up our own radio station, I thought, well, I'm the CEO. Let's have some Magnum. So our first hour we had Magnum. Not an hour of it, but it was great to be able to say, yeah, let's have some of this. But yeah, I have quite a wide mix. So Magnum, yeah, that's one of those. It's quite, rock, hard rock. Christian bands, yeah, Lecrae, Skillet, there's loads. Toby Mac is up there. Sort of anything that's good. Sarah Reeve, more recently, I've discovered. Our Atlantic Roots, I know you've interviewed.
Yeah.
So that, I
In
mean,
fact,
that's
the other day I was with Sarah up in London, so I took her on a little bit of sightseeing
nice.
around the capital. So she did a very small, intimate gig, and it was a really, really lovely evening. She's a very, very gifted lady, actually. So I was pleased to get the opportunity to meet her. And Skillet, you mentioned. So John Cooper, he is really opinionated. So I've interviewed him a couple of times, and I say he's really opinionated. I'm going to say in a really good way. I don't necessarily agree with him on everything, but he is one of the people that I've talked to that I've been most impressed with how deep they go in their thinking, research, reading. For a musician, he spends a lot of time looking at psychology, looking at culture, and obviously looking at theology. So his people might think Skillet, well, that's hard rock, soft heavy metal, depending upon how you categorize it. And if you meet John at some point when he's wearing his black clothes that are ripped and tattoos and his hair is looking like he looks like quite a hard man, and then you talk to him and you go, wow, you're a really deep thinker and you really care passionately about the things that you're singing about. And I've got to say, I was very impressed with John. I like him a lot as a guy.
Yeah, my rock show presenter's just done an interview with him. It was sort of a press conference style. So that was all over some complaints he's had about things he said, and so that was great. But yeah, Skillet's one of my favourite bands. Lecrae would be another one. Governor B. I mean, I like a lot. Sarah Reeves is much more soft kind of poppy stuff at one level.
She is. Yeah.
Skillet, I mean, Disciple, War of Ages, PODs, your heavy metal version. So I have quite an eclectic mix. In fact, the radio we have and the music we play, it's our music. We buy it in. So when we started, it was our CDs that we loaded. So you get quite a flavour of who the Berries like. In the first 6 weeks, that's almost all that we had. It was our own CD collection. But yeah, I mean, UT Oasis would be another one. There's an awful lot. I love music. I mean, I've been a worship leader since I was 10. I love music of all sorts, and I get inspiration from such a different range. I'm happy listening to Disciple, who are very much heavy metal, and I'm very happy listening to Sarah Reeves, who's very much the opposite end of music in one sense. And that's what I love about music, is it can all do different things. And it can move us good, and it can move us ugly, but hopefully more beautiful than ugly.
I hope so. Well, I'm sure that our station and yours will probably be playing lots of similar artists who've got an amazing message to share. So I'll tell you my favourites at the moment. We the Kingdom have been a very big favourite of mine for a long time. And more recently, I've discovered Victory Boyd. Do you know Victory Boyd?
No.
Check out Victory Boyd. She's an absolutely astounding artist. So, in fact, if you're going to play some of the interviews, you might want to go and check out her interview. It would be available to you, and I would definitely recommend her album. She is going on tour with Lauren Daigle, and Lauren Daigle's album that came out this year, her extended full version, I thought was phenomenal. I couldn't fault it. I absolutely love what Lauren's done there. So
it's very good.
Those are some of my. Oh, and from the UK, I've got to say Lucy Grimble's new album. If you haven't listened to that yet, check out Lucy. Sorry, I'm on it now. I'm telling you some of the things. Lucy
go. Yeah, do it definitely.
You got to check that out. So and Lucy is up for one of the awards at the UK Christian Music Awards, which is coming up very soon. I'm going to say very soon because I'm not sure when this is airing, but very soon.
No, that's fine. Cool. No, but music moves you, didn't you? I love hearing your passion for bands, and I'm very much the same. And my oldest son, who's also the operations manager, his passion for music is able to come out because he's got such an ear. And when I say, what's that band or whatever, he knows who it is. Whereas I'm not necessarily quite so quick at linking a song bite to a track or an album. He's like, yep, that's such and such an album. That's track 6. And it's like, that's quite a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, I've seen people enter competitions based on their music knowledge, and I'm like, how on earth do they do that? Because I would definitely have to go and double check things to make sure I was getting the right things in the right place. One thing, just say, talking about interviews with people, Phil Wickham. So I've interviewed Phil Wickham. He's a big name, obviously, in the Christian music world. He is really down to earth, and that's one of the things I like with the interviews is you get a chance to just find out a little bit more about the people. And he shared one of the stories he shared. So obviously he's doing huge stage, really big ministry. But actually, he shared a story about when he went to the shop, and there was a Muslim in the shop, and he got to share his faith, and it was just him and this one lady, and he just shared the story of Jesus. So it's just nice when you sometimes go, all of these artists, no matter how famous they are, they're just people, but they're desperately loved by an amazingly big God. So that's one of the joys about getting behind the scenes and chatting to the artists. So finding out actually what it is that excites them, and finding out about the stories behind the scenes.
Cool. Oh, that's really good. I'm glad you asked about the music questions, because if you don't have a passion for music in music radio, there's an issue, really.
yeah. I think you'll get bored very quickly.
Yeah, and we don't. I don't know how many thousands of songs we've got on the system, but it's great because I don't get bored. A new artist, an old artist I've heard again. If it's good, then it doesn't get old, which is brilliant.
Oh, well, definitely go and check out Victory Boyd. I think that album will excite you. So she's amazing story to share as well about how she works with Jay-Z. So she's I think that's one to watch. People haven't heard her name yet. I tell you what, it's a name that I think you'll hear a lot more of in the years to come. So she's already got a Grammy. But definitely not very well known in the UK. That's for sure. So the album's called Glory Hour, by the way.
I'm going to write that down because my brain won't remember. Glory Hour.
Yep.
Fine. I'll write that down.
I would buy that album. So great. Cool. Have you got any more questions for me?
No, that's it. Thank you, Gordon. Just give us the website for Hope once more for people.
It's www.hopefm.com.
Thank you, Gordon, for your time. Real privilege to chat with you. And we're looking forward to getting your Christian artist interviews out really, really soon. So thank you for your time.
Thanks. Bless you, Andy. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.